simple rundown here today. We're going to have our Prince George's County Economic Development Corporation, who's hosting us today. Thank you very much for them for putting all this together. Their President and CEO, Jim Coleman, is going to welcome and introduce the county executive, who then will announce our sites, and then we'll turn it over to our Amazon HQ2 project lead, David Iannucci. And again, their names and spellings were in the media advisory in the press release that was handed out. So thank you very much for attending, and Mr. Coleman.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure having everybody here today. 7 years ago, Prince George's County may not have had the opportunity that we are having this morning. The big reason, the big turnaround is really 4 key words, and those words are County Executive Sherman Baker. Over the last 7 years, he's instilled integrity, confidence in the market. He's helped us to attract companies to come here because of the great assets that we have to offer. We've got an educated workforce. He's done wonderful things in streamlining the permitting process, making it easy for companies to be able to come here and set up shop. So with no further said, we are going to have the man who's been the key driver in turning around our economy, where we've got right now 17,000 new jobs just in the last 12 months. Median household income is up to $77,000, $5,000 versus just a year ago. And County Executive Baker has just made this really happen in working with our business community. So with no further said, I'd like to introduce County Executive Sherman Baker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. I want to thank everyone for being here. We're of course excited about the opportunity to bid on the Amazon site. Before I get into my remarks, which will be brief, because I want David Iannucci to go over the sites that we have that we think fit all the criteria that they've been looking for. I'd certainly want to thank David Iannucci for heading up our team doing this. Dr. Pradeep Ganguly right here with EDC and the work that they've been doing. We've also had other folks that we've worked on here. University of Maryland, Ken Ullman at University of Maryland on these sites, our park and planning at the county. As you can see, there are several sites that we think fit exactly what Amazon's looking for. Our site at College Park, right next to University of Maryland, top-tier research institution, right near metro stations, the future Purple Line. We've got a site in Garth Bell is here at Greenbelt, a site that we use for the FBI submission, with all of the things that we've committed to there, which we think is also a great site to have this on. And New Carrollton, which we're really hot on. It's a site where 2U, one of the innovative educational learning centers, is located. It's also the site where Kaiser Permanente is going to bring in 850 new jobs. They're all near metro centers for us. I mean, we think that Prince George's County, has the best opportunity to do exactly what Amazon wants because of some of the things Jim talked about. And that is, if you look at our proximity to a metro system, to highways, sandwiched in between 2 major airports, BWI and Reagan National, our educated workforce, which is something that they're going to look for here, the fact that we have major universities surrounding the county, not just University of Maryland, but Bowie State University, University of Maryland, University College, Prince George's Community College, and several others, and access to universities in Washington, D.C. So we think of these sites that they are fit right exactly what we'd like to see, what Amazon would like to see, and we think that's going to make us attractive. The other thing, as Jim said, if you look at the job growth, for the 3rd quarter in a row, Prince George's County has led the state in job growth by a lot. And if you look at the fact that, the average salaries of employees here, that gives us an educated workforce that's right there for Amazon to take advantage of. And so we think these sites are the ones that will that could win out in this proposal. Once again, we're excited. This is a game changer. I mean, you're going to hear that over and over again. Much like the FBI, it's one of those once-in-a-lifetime deals that people are going to go after all across the nation. But we believe that we have the best opportunity right here. With that, I'll bring up David Iannucci to tell you more about our sites. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. This is a result of a team effort, and it's led by Mr. Baker, and exactly as Jim said, he's changed the tone. I've been very gratified in talking about the Amazon project with folks in the Washington metropolitan area. To a person, they take it for granted that Prince George's County is able to compete for this site. And I think that's a powerful signal of the changes that we've seen, that it's understood we're going to be a competitor. This is a great team effort, by the way, that resulted in here. Dr. Ganguly and the Economic Development Corporation team, we had a war room going on last week, and it was intense. And this is the result because unlike most kind of corporate headquarter RFPs, my experience that when I was Secretary of the Department of Business Economic Development with Morgan Stanley, I killed somebody here, sorry about that, this was a 13-month process, most of it done in total secrecy. That's the way you normally see these economic development projects. Here we have this incredibly fast turnaround. It was 2 Thursdays ago, the Maryland Department of Commerce asked all jurisdictions in Maryland to identify the sites that we had. So we essentially had 8 days to do this, and we moved very, very quickly. So you have an exact copy of the PowerPoint presentation and the sites that were sent to Baltimore, the Maryland Department of Commerce. It's a 33-slide PowerPoint presentation, and I'm not going to dwell on each of the slides, so don't worry about that. But I'm going to give you a sense of the message that we're sending, that Prince George's County can compete for Amazon for all the reasons that Mr. Baker said: workforce, mass transit, airports, logistics. All these things are important. But I think we collectively would agree, we think the single most important factor that will drive Amazon's decision is going to be access to a quality workforce. The land is going to be important, the cost is going to be important, all these other things are going to be important. If they want to know, can they find 50,000 smart, intelligent, talented, high-paying young folks to make up their workforce? And that's when this becomes a regional proposal. The Washington metropolitan area is on the top of everybody's analysis of what sites can best compete for Amazon, and that's why Prince George's County is well situated. So, this is just to remind folks from Amazon, we know what they said they're asking for. These are the requirements, and we've listed them here. And the response, we're trying to identify each of our responses to that. The College Park site stands alone. There are 2 different versions of the map. It essentially is composed of much of the land in M Square, which is now called the Discovery District, next to Campus Drive, next to the College Park Metro Station. This site can accommodate 8 million square feet of development. It can provide access to the university, access to mass transit, meets all the requirements. We've identified, again, the specific factors that are identified by Amazon and what they're looking for. The chart on the right is an exact effort to respond to Amazon's needs. You see the airport, the highways, the mass transit. But again, this has got existing buildings as well as development opportunities. But we've also understood that we have expansion opportunities. So by tying the College Park site, which can stand alone, with the nearby access to the Greenbelt Metro Station site, and as Mr. Baker said, Garth Bell from Renard Development Corporation is here. This has been our primary FBI site, along with Landover. 6 million square feet of development opportunity at the Greenbelt Metro Station. And then the PIC area to the right there is the Capitol Office Park, which also has great existing buildings as well as expansion capacity. So what we're trying to market there is College Park can stand alone, but you also can look at the Greenbelt and the Capitol Office Park. They could stand alone. You tie together, we are giving Amazon an incredible, flexible series of options in terms of land next to mass transit, next to highways, next to a university that meets all of their requirements. The other site that Prince George's County is proposing is around the New Carrollton Metro Station on both the north and the south side of the tracks. To you, as Mr. Baker mentioned, is there. The Bermans control a number of acreage that is set for high density development just to the west of the Metro Station tracks. There's a complex of apartment buildings and condominiums between 450 and Harkins Road that could also be redeveloped. The turquoise area is where Kaiser and the Urban Atlantic project is, many acres there and development opportunities. And then the green area is an existing office park, buildings, many of which have turned hands in the last years. People have seen redevelopment opportunities. And Dr. Ganguly, we're saying that that site alone can accommodate, is it more than 10 million square feet? More than 10 million. By itself, so the green area by itself could accommodate this. So we have given Amazon an incredible flexible series of options, expansion opportunities, office buildings they could occupy immediately, and again, building opportunities. And again, here are some of the criteria. More than 10 million square feet we're saying altogether, and almost 300 acres, and the zoning that works for everything. And there is no location in the Washington metropolitan area that has the mass transit options that New Carrollton does. It has 6 major modes of transportation, counting the future Purple Line, Amtrak, Metro, MARC, Interstate Bus, and Interstate Highway. There is no other location in the Washington metropolitan area that can offer any corporation access to that much transportation. So here, though, is a key point that Mr. Baker's made. We are part of the Washington metropolitan area. Amazon has said very clearly they want to focus on MSAs, metropolitan statistical areas. We understand that for 50,000 person workforce, the jobs are not going to only come from Prince George's County. They're going to come from a very wide range of locations. 50 miles wouldn't surprise me from in terms of the draw. So we are focusing very much on telling people that we are in a region of 6.1 million people with a very diverse population, a very diverse workforce. We think that's more and more important to companies like Amazon. Strong international ties, international airports, and again, a very young workforce. And these are different highlights that we are able to pick up in terms of the metropolitan workforce. Literally, it's one of the highest ranked in terms of the education of its population. Women have among the highest education attainment among top 25 areas. And again, these other technology factors, and a workforce of almost over 2.7 million people. That is a major draw for a company like Amazon. They can find the workers they want in this area. And you see the skill level in the bachelor's degrees. We've also, of course, focused on Prince George's County data. As you said, led the state of Maryland for 3 quarters in a row in job growth. We're a AAA rated county, a AAA rated county, of which there are only several dozen in the United States. A sign of our stability. Our income growth has been dramatic. It's now 79,184. That's literally a last week number. We were one of the fastest growing jurisdictions in this Maryland, D.C. area in terms of the median household income. And again, our workforce, which has been growing, and our college degree level. Airports, they want to know about airports. We got 3 of them. You know about our mass transit options. We talked about those. Again, you all have this document, so that's why I'm going to go quickly. We want to make sure you have time for questions. The Purple Line gives us great connectivity, both for the New Carrollton site as well as for the College Park site. Highway access, our educated workforce. I think we came up with 29 colleges. I don't know if they're all located here, but this again will be a regional draw. The universities in the metropolitan area are part of the draw here. Our own education system and the dramatic changes that occurred in the last 7 years in Prince George's County, we think becomes part of our selling point. Our graduation rate is jumping up, and the number of students that we see coming out of the colleges and universities, again, is the workforce of the future. And again, we're making a point of the connection to the University of Maryland flagship campus, to Bowie State University, to all the different programs that are being offered. And on the right here, you see kind of key data about the flagship university. The College Park site gives Amazon direct access to one of the leading universities in the United States with more than 38,000 students, and it's ranked better and better all the time in terms of best values and best public colleges and so forth, and very technology focused at the University of Maryland. Again, our own K-12 system and the growth we've seen there. Different programs in our high schools, one of the largest school systems in the country, and again, a very diverse. Did I skip one? Connectivity. Now, I can't tell you I know what a gigapop is, but apparently it's very, very important to Amazon, and so we've listed it here. And but we know that connectivity is something that they specifically mentioned in the RFP. Dr. Ganguly, I know we talked about that. And so the technological connectivity that we offer in the site is unparalleled. Quality of life, our own park system is an award-winning park system, has won this gold medal for 6 years in a row as part of the quality of life issues that we'll bring to, Prince George's County brings to Amazon. Again, more data about our park system. Regional sell. We are selling our Prince George's County locations as part of the Washington metropolitan region. everything from the National League, the Washington Nationals in first place in the East Division, holding all that and going to the postseason, to all the other sports, concerts, and recreational opportunities. And again, more data on regional attractions. Sustainability is mentioned specifically in the RFP is something that's important to companies such as Amazon, and we're providing them critical data that makes the point that the state of Maryland, the Prince George's County itself, that the University of Maryland are all jurisdictions that embrace the idea of sustainability, that we understand this is important to Amazon, but frankly it's important to us as well, and we're already doing this. It's not something we have to create for Amazon. The new DPI system that was created during Mr. Baker's first or second year, there's a lot of time people pay attention to the Economic Development Incentive Fund and the $50 million fund, but I frankly will tell people that the biggest change that the business community is experiencing in Prince George's County is DPI and the improvements that we've made to our entitlement and permitting system. The fact that we can offer a company like 2U or like other companies that we're dealing with, but particularly Amazon, this will be a painless part of the process. And we have two examples that Pradeep Ganguly and the Economic Development Corporation came up with that we think stand as amazing examples for something like Amazon, what we can do. Tanger was 12 months from construction to opening. Again, that was a sign of they got the permit within 30 days. The MGM complex, $1.4 billion. It was 9 months for entitlement and permitting and 14 months for construction. Those are numbers that will get the attention of a company like Amazon. And this is kind of our closing slide that we're making in terms that we're connected, we're sustainable, we have a diverse community, we have a cultural opportunities, we can offer lower acquisition costs, cheaper operating costs, access to a labor pool, again emphasizing that we think the labor pool is a critical issue, access to the university, we can get them where they want to be very quickly and very efficiently. So that's our pitch for Prince George's County. Under Mr. Baker, I want to thank him personally for giving us the tools and the Economic Development Corporation and Jim and your team to be able to compete. It is absolutely true. 6 or 7 years ago, it would not have been understood that we could step up the way we are now. Prince George's County is in this game. We'll be working with different organizations like COG from a marketing standpoint because this is the metropolitan statistical area. It's an urban area competition. We understand we're part of the D.C. area. We want to compete as part of the D.C. area. But at the end of the day, Prince George's County will be there among the top companies, top locations, in this Amazon Corporation. So I know that we collectively are happy to answer any questions you have. And thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Good job.
Tracy.
Tracy?
So this comes down to tax breaks and money. It comes down to money. What is Prince George's County wanting to do?
Well, I think we're prepared to offer, we're going to look at incentives, but we don't really think the incentives are what's going to drive this. I think David made a good point, and that is, one, they're going to look at, office space or location, but also diversity of the workforce. I think they've made a real pitch to say they wanted to see a diversified workforce. We have that to offer in this area, and the education level. So I think, access to metro and to the airports, a location, and workforce. I think that's what's going to drive it. Because I think every jurisdiction will offer some type of incentive. But I really think those are the driving factors.
Well, Mr. Beck, have you got to look at other cities that have put out proposals, for example? You mentioned about sports. Dan Gilbert, the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, he's put out a proposal to have it built in Detroit, and they're pushing that it's next to Windsor, another country. So how have the county looked at other proposals, and how will you make it stronger to challenge other cities?
Not yet is the honest answer. We've been moving very, very quickly. We had 8 days to do this presentation. The idea is the Maryland Department of Commerce has said they want us to receive sites from jurisdictions in Maryland, and we know that other submissions will be there. They'll be doing their evaluation, and in the next 5 or 6 weeks, putting together a proposal. And we will have time to do that. We're following that as closely as we can, but it's too early to see. I have predicted that Amazon may literally have 500 sites to choose from by the time this is over. Hundreds and hundreds of cities are going to offer up their locations, so there'll be time for that. But I think what we're saying is we're selling Prince George's County is what we're worrying about right now.
Kate Ryan in the back.
And everyone says they want a regional approach to this, but Governor Hogan has said he wants this in Port Covington. What kind of competition is going on within the borders of each jurisdiction. And getting back to what Tracy asked, people are going to start talking money. What is Prince George's County ready to put up?
Yeah, I think from the incentive point, it's too early to say exactly what the dollar figure will be that we put in there. Certainly, anytime you have development, it's always the infrastructure, and that is the the transit that goes with it and those things. This would not be unlike what we did with the FBI or what we did for MGM in terms of those type of incentives. As for the governor and for the sites in Baltimore, we know there are a number of sites in Maryland that are going to compete for this. This is a big prize. We think that's good and that's healthy. We certainly, at the end of the day, want to see this in Maryland. What we're saying, and what we hope that the governor is really saying, is that there are great sites throughout Maryland, that as the governor, that he would support those sites because it's good for us to have Amazon come to Maryland. And then we make the case on an individual basis. We did that with the FBI. We had two great sites, one in Greenbelt and one in Landover. We won it in Prince George's County and won it in Maryland. But further, what we say in our sites is, as David said, we know they're going to look at urban areas. We're in the Washington region. If you look in the Washington region and what we can bring here to Prince George's County, we think it offers the best chance. One, because we have the number of metro sites which other jurisdictions can't compete around the Washington area on that. The fact that we have the available land space, which other areas can't compete. And you can't get away from the fact that we have major universities actually located near the sites we're talking about, and an educated workforce. So we believe on average we can compete not only in Maryland, because that's important, but more importantly, we're going to be competing nationwide. And so we think this site competes with Detroit or any other place that's going to be making a submission.
Yeah, Peter, here somewhere. County Executive Baker, just by even talking about getting the Amazon HQ2 headquarters, you're already a winner. You just came back from South Korea and China. I mean, this is a wonderful site for the new Hyundai worldwide or U.S., North America, or Samsung, or even
I couldn't have said it better
SoftBank.
myself.
And you've got 4 sites. So is this something that, these are all ready for major corporation, 50,000 jobs?
It's a great point that we've been really emphasizing over the last 7 years is we're going after, just like we went after the FBI, we went after making sure that we could get MGM here, that we want Prince George's County ready to compete on any level to get big projects here. I think as we've shown here, we have outstanding assets in the county that will make us competitive with those other areas. And the trip to Korea was a chance for us to talk about, what we have in Prince George's County. Certainly, I would be lying if I said, Amazon wouldn't help us in other areas. It certainly would put Prince George's County on the map. When you're going to Korea or China, people know where Amazon is. They know Amazon. And so when we're trying to sell our area, that will help us, much like the FBI would do it if it came here. Much like what we do with MGM when we're going around. So this is important for us to get people to look at the great opportunities we have here in the county.
County Executive, because the governor has come out so early and with a preference to a site, do you have concerns that the sites you've identified here in Prince George's County and other sites around Maryland may not get showcased the same way the Port Covington site would?
No. We're a big county, and so we're used to promoting ourselves. That's how we got MGM here. That's how we're building a hospital. That's how we've gone to leading the state in job creation. If we had to simply wait on the state to do that, we would be where we were 7 years ago. So we're very adept at promoting ourselves. But we think it's unfortunate because the Baltimore site is a good site. We think it should be promoted and should be out there and given the opportunity to compete in the Baltimore region, Baltimore area. We think that Montgomery County is going to come up with a site. But we feel like what we did here as a leader of the county, since everybody who has a business here and lives here, all part of the county, we had 2 sites at the FBI. We supported both of those sites with incentives and things of that nature. We think the governor should do that with all of these sites. This is a big win if we can get it for the state of Maryland. And so we're going to do everything we can. We're going to put our best foot forward. The beauty of where we are now in the county is, as David is saying, is that we're a major player in this area, and so we can promote our site. So we feel comfortable that we're going to do that.
Dr. Tracy,
When-
then Kate.
Whenever the county is competitive in a bidding process for economic development, at some point in the conversation, race and education becomes a part of it. What are you all going to say about that when there are questions about what's
yeah,
happening
you
in the
know,
public school
I've-
system, and then also it being a predominant African American?
You know what, Tracy, I think, yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because I think that's what sets this site apart from a lot of places. Amazon in Washington State, if they're going to look for, diversity. They put that in their request. If you look at Prince George's County, yes, it's predominantly African American, but our beauty of our county is we're a very diverse county. If you look at the Washington region we're competing in, I think that's the selling point. One, highly educated, highly diverse, a area where you see a number of female-owned businesses. We think that's going to be important, and we're going to emphasize that. We're not going to downgrade. We're going to emphasize that in our application, that you're coming into an area that's educated, that's diverse, that's near the things that you said you want to be, and that is near top universities and near transit.
Kate?
If I can follow up on the FBI, was there anything from that process? That was an all-out effort. You had a lot of congressional support. Is there anything that was learned from that you've kind of sharpened your pitch or changed in order to make the county more attractive to Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, I think the FBI helped us a lot in the county in making a pitch for a big project. I mean, that's a major game changer that people wanted around. It forced us in the county to look at our assets and to now start improving. Just think about it. When we first went after the FBI, you couldn't talk about quality of life issues in all parts of Prince George's County. But you see the development where we're standing right here is going to be downtown Largo, with a brand new hospital, with retail, office space, and places to eat. The same thing with Greenbelt. The reason we were competitive, because you had not only transit there, but you had mixed-use development that was attractive. Each one of these sites says the same thing, the Purple Line. So what we learned from the FBI process was to get our house in order and to get us ready to be able to compete at a moment's notice on what any project that's coming out. That's why, David and the team could turn around so fast on this, is because they could pull together all those assets and talk about them in a way that makes us competitive. I don't think we could have done that 7 years ago.
Can I follow up on what Tracy asked regarding education? You still have a sizable number of people, I don't know what the latest stats are, that put their children in private schools, that don't vote with their children, if you will, to put them in the public schools. When people move to an area, often that's the first thing they look at. How do you address that issue?
And this, it goes back to your earlier question about the FBI. That was one of the questions that came up with the FBI. They asked about the public education system. And what we were able to tell them is that over the last 4 years, what we've seen is a steady increase of people putting their children back into our school system. We're the second largest in the state. We're growing. We're making improvements. And I think what by and balance with development projects, they want to see improvement and there's growth in the future, both in our options for private school education in Prince George's County and our options for a great public school. That's there and it makes us competitive. But we did the same thing with the FBI and quite honestly with MGM, because you got a diverse workforce that's coming in to the area. They want to know whether they can actually live and where it's going to be located. And what we're saying to them is yes, because we're making those improvements. And we highlight our public schools and the progress we're making.
All right, thank you guys. Oh, wait, I'm
Thank you.
sorry, one more.
Just real quick, we've heard a lot of facts, a lot of figures, been very helpful. How excited are you for this possibility?
I tell you, I'm so excited that when I was in Korea when this first came up, and I literally was over there calling back, emailing David and saying, I want you to get right on this, that this is an opportunity that we're ready for. This is a moment in time where Prince George's County is ready. Just think about it. We didn't have to get ready. We're ready. And we can just pull everything together. That wouldn't have happened, 7 years ago. We'd have had to make up some stuff. Now we can just pull out what we've been successful on. So we're really excited. And it's going to give the chance for not just the Washington area to look at the county, but as the conversation that was said earlier, we're going to have the nation looking at this process. This is a nationwide and worldwide process. So people, even if, we think we're going to be successful, we're going to do everything we can, but we're going to get businesses to start looking at Prince George's County as a real competitor, and that's helpful. So we are excited, as you can see. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to, again, thank particularly the Economic Development Corporation. I also want to acknowledge Lauren Weiss is here from the office park that I mentioned, so we have some representation there. But Jim, I'm going to say on behalf of the county and the county executive, Dr. Ganguly and the Economic Development team, which I love you all to wave your hands or stand up or something like that. Thank you all very much. These guys came through.